View Inspector is a tool that makes it possible to write unit tests for SwiftUI, but it doesn't cover everything, every single thing. So what do you do if there's a part of your code that you can't unit test directly in your view? Well, you extract it and test it outside of the view. Welcome to the Quality Coding live stream. Live coding, all the mistakes, all the time, and 90 minutes of exploring test-driven development in SwiftUI together. My name is John Reed. I am your host, and I am a developer and a coach. So, I don't know. Hello. Welcome to the folks who are here. Mudshark, glad to have you as always. First time chatter. Hello. Hi. 9898. Welcome. Don't see very many folks here, but that's all right. For folks who are watching after the fact on YouTube, welcome. Give this a follow. Give me a follow, and then if you like what you see as it goes, give it a like, even if you don't watch the whole thing. What are we working on? Here is our discovery tree area. I broke it down into 3 trees, but this is the one we're working on right now. Mastermind. Feedback. Follow the orange. Feedback, the check guest button, show feedback about the guests, show feedback as colored pegs, and we want to distinguish empty feedback from filled with peg. Hello, Rick. Rick Meister is in the house. All right. Let's also review what sorts of things did we learn last time. Hello, Marcus. MJB, the first sort of iOS 2 tutorial, which does not introduce even a single protocol yet. I might have a protocol. I don't know if I do. Now that you say that, do I? I do not. At least not in my code. The testable view is something you can add. So how interesting to point that out. There's something I want to mention about that, and that is that when you first get involved with unit testing, you don't use protocols at all and then wonder why it's hard. And then you swing the pendulum the other way, and you use protocols everywhere for everything. And especially if you have an odd fixation about thinking about unit tests as things in isolation, which is not what unit tests are, then you'll say, you want to isolate all the things. So then I think an experienced TDDer swings back the other way and says, let's use them when necessary, and let's try to make them unnecessary as much as possible. Michaela's in the house. Okay, everyone, say hi to Michaela, wherever she is in the world today. So thank you, MJB, for that interesting comment about protocols. We, last time, 2 weeks ago, by the way, for those, Japan, I'm so jealous. Is it time for uh, suddenly blanking on the best conference in Japan? I picture the mascot, but I'm suddenly blanking on the name, but you must be there for that. Wow. I'm jealous. I wish I were there. Try Swift. Ah, I hope it was good. Such a good name for a conference. It fits so well with the Japanese way of naming things. So last time we addressed the a law of Demeter violation to reduce, or violations, I think, multiple, to reduce mental load. Reducing mental load is a huge goal. We talked about where to start learning TDD. We played with bindings and discovered you don't always need them. Oh, that's neat, Michaela. And we learned that GitHub Copilot for Xcode now has a chat option. Might want to play with that. In fact, maybe I want to pull... Oh, where are you, Copilot? Oh, well, I'll find it another way. So those are some of the things we did last time. And as we go, as we observe things, let's jot them down. I mean, put them in the chat. And I'll try to make an effort to fill in the continuous retro as we go. What are we doing? Last time, working on here. Let's see the running app. You may have to look very closely, but we've got the guess. The secret code is in here. We can make a guess and then check it, and then we get feedback. These pegs are currently empty, and when they are filled with some sort of feedback, the color will be a little larger than the whole, to be similar to a physical peg going in. So let's just do and check that. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but the white feedback is just a little bigger. This is not tested yet. That is where we are. Why didn't I test this? John, can't you do TDD? There are times when you don't know what it is because you don't know how you're going to do it. And we did a fair bit of fiddling around to try to come up with a way, and the overlay seemed to work well enough. So let's now backfill the test and do reverse TDD and see if we can't do this. Feedback peg view tests. Oh, we don't have feedback view. Okay, feedback view tests. Hey, Eric. Oh, Marcus, you mean just like how the heck do you do a thing? And sometimes it's hackery. And hacking, there's nothing wrong with hacking. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I want to test a thing. One of the main things, and I had a colleague ask me this the other day, was I don't know what to test. Yeah. I don't know what to test. And that's an okay place to be. So the challenge then is to apply some legacy coding techniques to say, given this code, how would I test it? How would I like it to be easily testable, and sort of work backwards? And then you learn these tricks, which is why I wrote my book. It's because there were a lot of people saying, yeah, I get how to write unit tests, but I don't get how to test things about view controllers. That's why I wrote the book. Only way to test was by launching and checking. Yeah. At first. Yep. Michaela, would you write an updated version of your book with SwiftUI? Well, I'm not going to make any promises. I just want to make more blog posts. And the next posts I'm trying to get to right now are videos, because it's not good enough to see code, because TDD, I really want to show TDD, not just unit testing after the fact. So because TDD is a process and not just an artifact, I'm going to work on videos. That is my goal right now. Will that ever become a book? No promises. One book was enough grief, maybe, but who knows? We'll see. So expect more content. There will be more content that you can point people to. All right, so we've got the feedback view test. It's just the one. How shall we? Here's the main thing, the main challenge. And again, I was asked, this is something I shared with my colleague at work, is if there is a conditional, I expect 2 tests. And there is a conditional. It's just hiding under that question. It is the question mark. To make this testable, I think we're going to need to target that overlay. Actually, Marcus, you ever seen a ternary and a ternary? Yeah! That's fun. No, it's not fun. Oh, man. Let's see. Let's see how I test this at all. What am I testing here? So I make a view. Let's just understand the existing test. And then I'm inspecting. What is this? Okay. Find the particular peg. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the shape and a foreground color. So the shape is the circle. And there's the foreground color. I think I can just target the overlay right there. Otherwise, this may be a little dangerous, but let's start by trying to target it. Let's start over here. And I'm going to duplicate this. What was it? Is it possible to see the overlay? It is. GitHub Copilot trying to anticipate me. This is kind of gross, and it's a lot of dots, which makes me a little anxious. But what do I want to test? I want to test the stroke color. Let's just see if we can. Ooh, I don't know if we can. Oh, it's imagining stroke color, but I don't think that exists. I think that is a hallucination. Yeah. So, how to do it, how to do it, how to do it. The other way to do it would be to extract it and make it testable. It is the same. It's either the same color or it's clear. So that's, but it's always there. But I don't know how to test the stroke. This is going to be, right now it's a shape. Thanks for chopping by, Michaela. Hope you have a good time in Japan, however long you're still there. Okay, line 25 uses foreground color on the shape. Let's have a look at foreground color. I don't know if it got the right one. If we look at shape inside of View Inspector, shape, shape, shape. Give me a shape. Oh wait, this is the actual code of View Inspector. That's gonna get, I think, gnarly. I'd rather look at the tests, because I don't care about the details. What do we have here in the examples? Path, inset, offset, scale, rotation, stroke style. Let's see what the stroke style is. That is a different thing. It looks like it may not be directly testable in, excuse me, in place. So, inspectable. So here we are in inspectable view, where view is a shape, and we can see various things: scale, rotation, transform, size. But I don't think the stroke is available. Now, we could try to figure out how to add it and open a PR, but that's not what I'm here to do. So, let us fall back, reset. Let me take a look, Marcus. Whoop. Second. Readiness. Looking for... path, inset, offset. Yeah, this rotation, transform, stroke style, this matches what we are looking at in the test code. So I think it's not there. Okay, then we adapt and say, I can't test it right there in place. So let's extract it. Specifically, I want to extract the color to use. I'm also looking at this conditional here and wondering, what is this? What is this attribute? But can I take that much and extract it? Well, Xcode won't do it. Not a surprise. So, how to do this safely? By leaning, we're going to use a technique from working effectively with legacy code called lean on the compiler. Basically, it's trying to work in a way that the compiler is offering the help in manual refactoring. So if I make private func foo and paste it in, yes, should have been applesauce. Isn't the stroke color the same as the foreground color on the parent circle? So, well, it depends. So this will be a color. And basically, having pasted it in and satisfied the compiler, this gives me confidence that we can just call foo in here. Applesauce. So let's do that. Let me now say stroke calling applesauce. Again, leaning on the compiler. Let's find out. That's an idea, Marcus, about test hooks. So having leaned on the compiler to do a manual refactoring like a caveman because Xcode, I still want to verify this. So let's do it manually. Okay. That looks fine. So let's commit this. Oh, I don't have TCR or anything on. Oh well, just do it this way for now. There's the change. So this is, what did I do? I did a non-provable refactoring of extract method. Oh, it's still called applesauce. That's okay. Push it anyway. One of the things I miss right now is the ability to do trunk-based development on a team that uses trunk-based development. Would I have pushed applesauce? Well, chances are the person I'm coding with, or the people would say, let's give it a good name before we push it. even if it is pushed, that's not bad because it works. And applesauce is serving its purpose to be clearly nonsense name. So some things I want to note. Lean on the compiler. What is this? It is the color of the larger area of the peg. What's a better name? We can do... It's unlikely in context, though. And let's see. Let's follow. I think there's a better picture of it. Here we go. 7 stages. So we're using a nonsense name. So the next thing to try to do is an honest name. Let's do that. And this being an automated thing, I mean, we should be able to automatically name this. This would be an honest name. Do something evil to database. It's the overlay colored. Here, let's go for honest and complete. Depending on whether the peg is filled or not. Right? Is that better than applesauce? Heck yeah. Is it? Can it be better still? Yes. Feedback peg stroke color based on let's see. Let's turn. Let's turn this much on. Commit and push if tests pass. So this will pass. And there it's pushed. Honest and complete does the right thing, shows intent. Interesting question. From MJB. I think the feedback peg view should only hold a single feedback peg, not the array and the index. That is an interesting notion, especially because the only thing that it's referencing is that over and over. Very nice. I think that could be a useful thing. Why did we do it? Who knows? Did we explore this before? I think it's worth exploring. Let's note this though. Oh, we're still trying to get to test. So first let me test it. So we're doing some other things here. Untestable in place, so extract. So we did that. Ooh, not a lime, a dark green. I'm going to note this good thought that feedback peg view, peg view, can feedback peg view have just back avoid having array and index? I think that's a great question and a good call out. So that's noted there so that we don't lose the thought. Thank you for joining in, MJB. I still want to see about the naming on this. Whoops. Stroke. Overlay. Color depending on whether the peg is filled or not. A different and a better name might strike us later as we work on it. But I'd kind of like to pass in the feedback peg as an argument rather than, I mean, because clearly we have this duplication here. Let's try moving this up into the argument. So this will be and this will be like that, leaning on the compiler. If this compiles, I am confident. Not using the argument yet. I'm just checking if this compiles. So I'm going to call this a kind of a medium. Peg guess stroke color. Peg color to reflect guess. I'm fairly confident, but I want to see it. Remember, we don't have tests on this. That's the goal, is to make this testable and put it into a shape that makes sense. So now that's a function that we can test. Where should this function live? The fact that we're calling the peg and asking questions about it suggests that it belongs with the peg. Which brings us to something else, and that is this, move UI responsibilities, which was this thing here, probably living in the wrong place. Like, why should you... Can't the peg know a little bit more about some UI, even if my initial thought was to keep the pegs really agnostic. I think it makes sense to move this. So let's see if we can't move it. Alas, I would love to be able... In IntelliJ, hey, I didn't say the A word. In IntelliJ, you can select a method and say, I want to move this to feedback peg, and it would do it. It would do it for you. Without that, I oh, you guys. I have a pretty strong guess of what move function looks like, but I want to look it up. Move function 198. Just quickly review the steps. 198 move function. There are various different mechanics for this. No, one mechanic. Move function. Copy. Yeah, so this is the main thing. Copy it to the target context, adjust it to fit, have the old one, call the new one, adjust the callers. I got it. So let's do... This is... I'll make it nice and big so you can see. This is the book, more than any other, that changed how I code. There are various books that could fall into that category. Oh, here's my latest book I wanted to show off. Woo! Kent Beck's new book, Tidy First. It's a very... Excuse me. It's a fun read. It is a quick read, in that the chapters are often single pages. But there's a lot to think about in there. Okay, what are we doing? We're coming back here. Kind of just, we're trying to do this, and so I'm going to reparent. We're trying to get to a place where we can test this full overlay thing, and to do that, to make it easier, and I want to make it easier because this is calling it. And I know, see, this is what I want to move, but I know that moving this would be hard because feedback color is back here, and so it's here. If you really want to see it, it's like move this first, then move Something like that. Add available. All right, so let's do this step by step by the book, which means we come here, copy, go to feedback peg. I'm going to paste it as an extension, I think, to keep the enumeration clear about like what it is versus what it does, like this. So we paste it. This is a little bit of violation. This makes me concerned. The fact that I have to import SwiftUI into this makes me scrunch my face. Can I live with it now? Marcus. I'm going to follow Marcus's idea. Very interesting idea. Where would that be? That would be like a feedback peg. It's UI code. I kind of worry about it being far away from here. I'm going to keep it close by, just to make life a little better. So this is feedback peg plus SwiftUI plus color. I'm gonna call it color for now. We know we need SwiftUI. And this is going to be extension. Yes, thank you. Paste. Not private. And fix it up. By fix it up, that would be don't take an argument. Right? We should just switch on self. If you need more SwiftUI stuff, you can put it in here, not worry too much. This is an interesting way to do it. Because this has been my concern, is how do I keep feedback peg free of UIKit stuff? It is kind of like a model, a view model for the peg that applies for a particular representation of the peg. What if, because maybe down the road, if we get to accessibility, we need a different, yet another representation of it. I'm going to keep it for now, but these are good thoughts. So this should build. Okay, having built, I'm back. Martin Fowler's amazing book, page 198. Copy the function to the target context, adjust it to fit in its new home, perform static analysis, figure out how to reference the target function from the source context, turn the source function into a delegating function. So that means we turn this and have it call the new color, and this is tested. So I can say peg feedback color like that. And this is, I predict that this will pass. So this is a test supported refactoring, so it's medium risk of move function. sort of step one. I'll just say move function. Because what we can do now is not call this. We can instead call this and adjust the callers. We have one caller here. And I'm going to do the same thing here. This is just going to be peg feedback color. This is tested, this is not, but by making the same change in both places, I'm very confident. I don't think I have any other use of this. So this is where in the steps we're doing inline function. Again, if I were using IntelliJ, I would have just done this with a couple keystrokes. But just because we don't have tooling doesn't mean we can't do refactoring in the proper fashion. So this is inline calls to old method, which means that this is now dead code. And that is very safe. This seems like something good to call out. What did we just do? We use an extension to avoid coupling. Not all languages have extensions, but we got them, so why not? Okay, and that does that. So now we can move the awkwardly named method here, doing something very similar. Copy. Paste. Adjust. So instead of feedback peg, instead of the peg, it should just be able to check self. And this becomes self, which is now, I think, implicitly, we can just call it. This is something we can test. So far, nothing is calling this. So this is low risk. Back here, we can make this like that. And because this is only used in one place, I can now inline this kind of like that. which means this is now dead code. And let's do manual verification. Good. Because we are doing refactoring, whoops, we don't need that. Without having test support, we can get the verification quickly. We may as well. Now, we've got something we can test. So let's test it. Let's add a new. It's been a while since I've seen this project, so I'm again liking having tests broken down into folders. One of the things that I wish more folks would do would be to honor the architecture in your file structure. This is the domain code. This is the UI code. What is this? You know, technically, is this UI code? We can access, that's a good question, MJB. We can access the circle easily enough. We can get at the overlay. We can get at the circle inside. There is no way to quit. So this is where the ID would come if we were to use it, but there's no way to test the stroke color. Eric is already rushing ahead with a cleaner implementation. Before we attempt anything like that, let us bring it under test. The question is, where should the test go? Because this is really UI stuff. Maybe let me try it and see how it feels. Let's move this into UI code. Even though it's separate, this is so small and so contained. I'd rather have this in the UI. If we weren't using an extension, we would call it the view model. So it would belong down here, I guess. And in a view model, there are things I don't want to import, but the color is usually a place where I'm like, I wave my hands and say, I need the color somewhere. So, and I don't want to have to write sort of my representation of color and then have translation layers to, that just seems like too much work in the name of some sort of purity. So this feels okay to me. Let's move with this. Move pig plus color to UI. Generally, yeah. The gray line is around a view model. You know, you don't want it to don't know. A view model shouldn't know too much about how it's how it's done. Hey, what you got here, MJB? Let's see. Oh, this is not View Inspector. This is SwiftUI. So this is the proper stuff. If you can find, I just don't think that it's currently supported in View Inspector. Let's continue adding the tests in their proper place, which is in here. So we'll call this by its name. New test in here. This can be a Swift testing test, can't it? There's no interaction with a view, so we don't need to use XeTest. And I'm not doing TCR at the moment. So I don't have, it's not going to revert my changes when this fails. Let's do this in a more traditional, for today, for right now, more traditional TDD style. To see the test fail. The other day I did this at work, and I sometimes question, is this an unnecessary step? And it failed. That is, it failed to like build and do stuff because I had the target wrong. So I still think this is a valuable step to do test 0. What do we want to test? We want to test this is already tested. We want to test this. So we need empty. Let's say this name is gross. We'll clean it up. Don't worry. Sure, I'll take that. Sure, I'll take that. That's not correct. And that's probably correct. Marcus, are you using GitHub Copilot at work? Because I like it outside of work, and it's not worth like it currently. It just says it keeps popping up for me. After working for a little bit of time, it says, "Oh, well, you're done with your free trial. You want to upgrade?" No, company's paying for it. I don't see what's going on here. Let's. XCT assert equal is not correct. This should be expect. Wow, it doesn't know, it doesn't really understand this yet. I expect this will fail because it'll say, it should actually be clear. As we bring this under test, I think the naming will become clearer too. So this is a test-only change. There we go. Let's write another test. This will be for correct. And I'm going to lean on, so one nice reason to have TCR off is that I'm now switching to a technique of characterization test. That is, this is correct. We know it is. So we do the characterization testing by writing an assertion that will fail and letting it guide us to the actual value to characterize the behavior we want. Interesting. Peg's correct. Hey, that's good. What is the actual name of this? So now I expect this, once I get it to compile, now I expect it to pass. Okay, this is so this is the technique I'm using right now, characterization testing. Now, I want one more test, but this is kind of gross. Could it, why not parameterized? Also the naming. What is it? The overlay color depending on whether the peg is filled or not. It's like the extra border color is really what it is. It's the extra size of the peg, the filled peg region, the color of the color immediately outside the peg boundary. I'm just riffing here. The color around peg to show that it's really there to show whether it's filled or not. It's the size thing. It's an illusion. Peg to show it's filled. Better? A little awkward still. It's the color around the peg. That's still, I kind of like that. to show. I'm going with that for now. It's better. This was an automated rename. Hey, come back. This is just test renaming. And this is an empty peg, and this is a filled peg. For empty peg. The test names are now starting to better express what I want. I think I want them separate. I want empty peg up here and filled, but I want this to be parameterized, because it should work for correct and misplaced. So, trying to remember, haven't done this enough. This takes an argument of the that is a handy thing to. I especially use it at work because the code, if you use the refactor, automated renaming, it goes through and grabs a bunch of stuff. Now, here's the thing though, if you just rename in here, it's only going to rename those. It's not going to rename the callers. So beware of that. So if your rename is local only, then that is a quick and handy shortcut to avoid firing up the refactoring engine. It's faster, but otherwise, isn't really what you're depicting the head or the top of a bag of a particular color. It's like if you have the peg, it's got the peg and it's got the head on. Yeah. It's the peg. It's the knobby part of the What is that? Screw head. Screw head refers to the head or top part of a screw. So it's like the peg head. Oops. I'm not sure that peg head is enough to communicate. It may or may not be. If we were with domain experts who used who were experts in pegs, they could probably tell us, but that might not be enough to communicate to the rest of the team, which is all around concepts of domain-driven design and establishing a ubiquitous language, a shared language among the team. All right, so let's try making this parameterized and see if we can get some help on this. I want to parameterize to take two peg types, correct and misplaced. The assertion remains the same. Let's see if it does anything. Oh, boo. Not helpful. Not the way to do it, folks. So, let me look up the other places where I have, here we go, arguments. I just needed a reference. Isn't that the way it is with so much coding? It's like you do it right somewhere, and then that becomes a thing you can use. And this is going to be feedback peg correct and misplaced. Good. And now this becomes like that. And now that is the system under test. So I'll rename it like that. And maybe this will now become a parameterized test with two inputs. Let's find out. I'm a dork. It's not the same color, you dork. We are all dorks. There is I haven't decided whether to share it more broadly at work or not, but there is something I would like to share. The Stupidity Manifesto. I signed this. Let's see. What is all? There we go. This is something I've started to refer to it with my colleagues. Basically, there are no dumb questions. And this is something I'm trying to do, is lead by example. And I used this the other day at work. Somebody used a term. I didn't know what they meant. So I said, I'm going to ask the dumb question. So my question is, oh, nice, Marcus. I really like that phrasing. Clear. So feedback, we can use the feedback color and say it should match the feedback color, except, yeah, this is starting to get a little smelly here. This should pass. There we go. That was my intent. And then we'll figure out how to clean it up. Now, that code is tested. So now this is tested. It's smelly. It strikes me as smelly. Let's keep working on improving it. First, what are these conditionals called again? I always forget the question mark colon style. First, ternary, thank you. I don't suppose there is refactoring or change ternary. There is not. IntelliJ. It's my new word, but it's my code word. You know what I'm saying. Even if AppCode didn't do it. AppCode, I said it. AppCode, I don't believe had a refactoring for change ternary. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But IntelliJ would handle this kind of thing. Of course, IntelliJ doesn't do Swift. A guard clause for empty is an interesting color, interesting idea. All right. Change. Now this is a case I've discovered a guard clause flips the conditional. And it no longer reflects how I understand it sometimes. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's perfect. But I feel like flipping this again into a different type of guard clause, a guard clause that doesn't use guard, but it's still a guard clause. To me, this makes it clearer. Otherwise, yep. If it's empty, it's clear. Otherwise, return the feedback color. Now that is cleaner. That is much cleaner, isn't it? First, get it under test. That was my goal. I didn't want to touch it until I was confident it was tested. Now that is clean, I don't feel a need to create another function that's switching on self and duplicating some of these values. No, this feels right. It's a guard clause that doesn't use guard. In this case, if you remove the first return, the compiler won't protect you. Yes, that's why guard is better. Yes, but that's why we have tests. Let me check this in and I'll show you. You're right, though, Eric. That's why a guard clause it brings more safety because it ensures the return. It's like get out of there. But here we go. So this is a test supported refactoring, medium risk. Use what I'm. Let's see. I don't think this will compile, but at least it brings up a warning. But this will fail. And if I had TCR on right now, it would revert. So there is safety. It doesn't always have to be at the compiler level. Sometimes it's great. And sometimes guard clauses express things right in the right way. But a couple of times now, and this is one of those times where I feel like we write it in the style that we would use in a language that didn't have guard clauses, all covered by tests. That's pretty strong. Yes. The guard clause in Swift requires the early return. In Kent's new book, guard clauses is chapter 1. All right, we are at time to wrap up. I think that this is done. And this is a good thing to explore next time. It's tempting to start now, but let's end on a strong finish, right? Any other thoughts, observations, things we've discussed? This is a pretty good, in my mind, capturing of the highlights of this session. Anything else? Anything else? Early return. I'm going to mention Tidy First was up here, but I didn't have the book yet. Nice. Bad name is better than no name. It is Arlo's Arlo Belshi's naming. Naming as a process. You can always improve it later. Yeah, nice call out. All right. This was a lot of fun. Good session. Thank you for joining. For folks who are watching on after the fact, either on Twitch, a fair number of folks watch on Twitch after not live. Hey, that works. I'm glad to have you. Consider subscribing. Folks watching on YouTube, you've watched this far, then definitely give it a like. Oh, wow. Thank you for joining MJB and jumping in with your first comments. I'm glad to have you. Next week is Easter Sunday, so let's not meet. I will be taking that time off. All right. Have a good week. Stay sane. Remember that finding joy and taking care of your mental health is a form of resistance against fascism. So it's okay to do things for yourself. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.